On January 30th, the Department of Justice released 3.5 million pages of unredacted Epstein files. After years of flukes and limited releases, they gave people just enough to have something to talk about. From the new drop, we see the usual suspects like Bill Gates and Prince Andrew, but buried in the FBI national threat logs are names that the people weren't expecting to see: Elon Musk, Jay-Z, and Pusha T. For years, the industry whispered about Jay-Z being just like Epstein. But this isn't a theory anymore. We have heard the industry whispers about the connections between the elite and the entertainment world, and now we're seeing the proof. Proof people can't simply deny. Reports from 1996 and 2007 that the feds kept in the dark for decades. Today we're breaking down the actual documents, but more importantly, we're asking the questions the mainstream media won't touch. Why are these names being served up as the ultimate sacrificial lambs?
Tonight, the Justice Department releasing more than 3 million pages of documents related to convicted Sir Jeffrey Epstein. President Trump's name referenced hundreds of times.
It's an enormous trove of documents, and it includes references to some of the richest and most powerful people on the planet. That includes the current president, a former president, cabinet secretaries, a former prime minister, billionaires, and the list goes on and on and on.
Including videos, photos, and email correspondences mentioning Elon Musk, former President Bill Clinton, Howard Lutnick, Bill Gates, and President Trump.
Unfortunately for Jay, they're saying that he's in the Epstein files. It's very embarrassing, this is very dark, and it's very grim. But it's not just Jay-Z, they're also saying that King Push, right? King Push, Pusha T himself is apparently in the Epstein files too. I cannot believe what I'm seeing.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
To understand why these names are just now hitting the surface, you have to understand how the elites play the game. Sacrifice a few guppies in order to protect the bigger fish. This is exactly what we're seeing right now. To understand all of this, it's important to know the difference between the Black Book and the FBI's NTOC logs. The Black Book was Epstein's personal phone book where all the crimes were documented. The NTOC logs, those are the reports from people calling into the FBI to report what they saw. For decades, the Department of Justice kept these investigative files hidden, but for a calculated reason that we will be getting into soon, they have decided to release these new files now. The reason they are releasing these NTOC logs now without hesitation is because this isn't considered factual evidence. They are saying these are just unverified reports people called in of suspected crimes, not actual proof of any of these crimes actually taking place. By releasing these unverified tips, the Department of Justice gives the media big names like Jay-Z to obsess over, knowing they can be seen as factual evidence. It's a calculated stunt to direct the conversation towards the people they've already decided to sacrifice. For years we have been examining the flight logs, but that was just a manifest of who traveled. The real crimes these people participated in were kept under seal by the Department of Justice. But all of a sudden, they have chosen to put out some big names. Think about that. In these NTOC logs is where the music industry's elite finally appear. Let's start with Jay-Z. One of the most explosive reports in this new drop dates back to approximately 1996. According to the victim's statement to the FBI, she was abducted from her home and woke up drugged in what she believed was Jeffrey Epstein's Florida mansion. But it's who she saw when she woke up that has everyone talking. She identified two men in the room, Harvey Weinstein and Jay-Z. Think about that for a second. In 1996, Jay-Z was just releasing Reasonable Doubt. He wasn't the billionaire mogul we know today. He was an upcoming artist from Brooklyn. The first question we have to ask is, how did a rapper get a seat at a table that included Jeffrey Epstein and the most powerful man in Hollywood? The second question is, if Jay-Z is being accused of being involved with Epstein, is it still far-fetched to believe he did something to a 13-year-old with Diddy? We all remember Jay-Z was sued by a woman accusing him of essaying her when she was 13. Jay-Z made it all go away using powerful lawyers and private investigators. Even though the victim eventually backtracked on her comments, she admitted it was only after Jay-Z was sending private investigators to stalk and intimidate her. It seems that all the stories of Jay and young girls might be true after all. This report suggests that connections between the music industry and the elite was not a conspiracy theory, but the reality. It also proves that these industry gatekeepers are clearly chosen well in advance. That's the only way Jay-Z ended up in the same room as Epstein back in the 1990s. But Jay-Z isn't the only guppy being served up in these logs. If you thought the 1996 report was a red flag, you need to see what the FBI was told about Pusha T. In these newly unsealed documents, the allegations take a turn that is arguably even more sinister. According to a complaint logged in the FBI's National Threat System, a victim didn't just place Pusha T at a party, she identified him as a handler. Think about that word for a second. In the context of these files, handlers are described as the people assigned to establish close friendships with potential victims. Their job was to build trust and lower the victim's guard to make the process easier. The reports detail a party in 2007 where the victim claims she was drugged, clouding her memory. She explicitly identifies Pusha T as one of the individuals who acted as a handler and was present when all the abuse took place. If these DOJ records are true, he isn't just another street rapper, he is a handler for the elite. This is how a rapper with a mediocre career ends up in the elite circles with Jay-Z and Kanye. All of this seems to confirm the link between the music industry and the elite. It's not just internet speculation anymore. Just like Jay-Z in '96, this 2007 report on Pusha T was kept under lock and key by the feds for nearly 2 decades. And just like the Jay-Z file, the Department of Justice is quick to remind us that these are just unverified tips. This brings us back to the fall guys. Why give the public names like Pusha T and Jay-Z? Well, because they are the perfect distraction. They are huge names in hip-hop and pop culture that would make the story viral. By letting the world obsess over whether a rapper was a handler in 2007, the people who actually funded the operation get to step back into the shadows. They're giving you just enough truth to keep you from looking at the bigger fish, all while still protecting the guppies in a way. Because these are just unverified reports, no criminal investigation is going to happen and the celebrities get to deny it all. After a few months of talking about it, it would all go away and they will go back to business as usual. This is clear evidence that Epstein was deeply engraved into the Hollywood system, and these celebrities are far more deeper involved than they want us to believe. If Jay-Z and Pusha T files are the distraction, then Gates and Musk are the sacrifice. This is where we move away from unverified hotline tips and into the FBI's digital archive, specifically Jeffrey Epstein's own email logs and draft folders. Unlike the music industry claims, which were external reports, these documents are internal. They show how Epstein viewed his relationship with the most powerful men in tech, Bill Gates and Elon Musk. And the picture it paints reveals the truth about these billionaires. Let's go into the Bill Gates files first. We have heard for years that Gates claimed he regretted his dinners with Epstein, but these new documents from July 2013 suggest a much darker reality. The Department of Justice released a series of draft emails where Epstein is essentially writing a script for blackmail. In one note, Epstein claims to have helped Gates secure drugs to deal with the consequences of encounters with Russian girls, essentially accusing Gates of having partaken in the island's offerings. But it goes deeper. The files mention a plan to covertly provide antibiotics to Gates' then wife, Melinda, to cover up an alleged STI. A spokesperson for Gates called these claims absolutely absurd, but at this point, why would we believe anything he has to say? For years, he said he did nothing illegal with Jeffrey. He claims they only spoke about business and philanthropy, but according to these new release files, Gates likely did things he wouldn't want the world to know about. Remember the ages of the girls Epstein was known to hang around. Now, think about what Epstein is accusing Gates of participating in. That alone shows you how much of a liar he is. Looking at the documents, you see Epstein's strategy. He wasn't just a friend offering a good time. He was an evil mastermind who used some rich people's perverted fantasies as leverage. By documenting these alleged hookups and medical cover-ups, Epstein was collecting enough dirt to make sure he had the elite on a leash, just like we saw with the Elon Musk connection. Musk spent years on X claiming he refused Epstein's invitations, but the new Epstein drop contains the actual email logs between the two in 2012 and 2013 that tell a completely different story. In November 2012, Epstein emails Musk asking how many seats he needs for a helicopter to his island. Musk doesn't say no. He replies, "Probably just Tallulah and me. What day and night will be the wildest party on your island?" Fast forward to December 2013, and Musk is emailing Epstein once again asking, "Is there a good time to visit?" They even settled on a date, January 2nd. While there's no definitive proof in this specific file that Elon ever made it onto the island, the emails prove that the refusal Musk claimed for years was actually an attempt to erase history. He wasn't avoiding Epstein, he was looking for the wildest party. Think about that. At this point in time, Epstein was already a convicted PDF file. He was known for running around with young girls. Why would someone like Elon Musk want to party with him? Well, If you know anything about Elon, then you know he likes massages almost as much as Epstein. In fact, some of you might recall he was sued by a former flight attendant who worked at SpaceX for just that reason. The flight attendant alleged that during a flight to London in 2016, Musk asked her to his private cabin for a full-body massage. She claimed that Musk then showed her his little Elon, touched her leg without consent, and offered to buy her a horse in exchange for favors. In 2022, reports emerged that Elon Musk and SpaceX paid the flight attendant $250,000 in 2018 to settle the claim. Hearing this, is it really that surprising that Musk was eagerly trying to attend Jeffrey's wildest parties? He attempted to go to the island not once but twice. To me, the fact that there are 2 emails where he's asking to go to the island suggests he likely visited once, enjoyed the massages so much that he wanted to go back a second time. While the DOJ is giving us the music industry tips to keep us distracted, they are giving us the tech elite emails because they can no longer hide the paper trail. These are the people whose relationships with Epstein have already been firmly established. Epstein was a master of blackmail. He wrote down everything he had on these men as insurance. So if the Department of Justice is finally showing us how Epstein leveraged the richest men in the world, we have to ask, who are they still protecting in the millions of pages that remain redacted? If Gates and Musk are being exposed now, who is the big fish that is so important they're willing to burn the world's richest men to keep them safe? Now, I don't want people to think I'm skipping over Donald Trump, as his name was also mentioned several times in these new files. In these files, there were some seriously dark accusations about the man leading the free world. So dark, I can't really get into them on YouTube. But don't worry, I am already working on a deep dive into these accusations that will be dropping in the next few days over on my Patreon. If you're one of my members, you can expect that soon. If you're not a member, you can become one by hitting the link in the comment section or in the description. But as we look at these names, Jay-Z, Pusha T, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates, we have to look at what isn't being shown. 3.5 million pages were released on January 30th, but thousands of those pages are still covered in black ink. These are the Redaction Games. Throughout the end of 2025, dozens of high-profile John Does fought in federal court to keep their names out of this specific dump. And while the media wants you to focus on the rappers and the tech moguls, they're ignoring the names that the Department of Justice is still willing to go to war to protect. If the government is willing to hand us the unverified reports on a billionaire like Jay-Z, or the email logs of the world's richest man Elon Musk, you have to ask, who is bigger than them that they're trying to protect? This is the sacrificial lamb technique. In any massive scandal, the system eventually reaches a breaking point where it can no longer hide everything. When that happens, the architects of the system choose who to throw overboard to satisfy the public's hunger for the truth. They give the people some names to direct their anger and disgust towards, while the worst of them all get away with it. By serving up the music industry and the tech elite, the Department of Justice creates a mission accomplished moment. They give you just enough evidence to feel like the investigation is fully moving forward, while the politicians, the intelligent assets, and the true architects of Epstein's operation remain safely hidden behind those black bars of redaction and the other cover-up methods. The truth is, the 2026 Epstein files aren't a victory for transparency. They're a masterclass in narrative control. They gave us the names we already suspected, so we stopped looking for the names of the worst monsters of them all. Jay-Z and Pusha T might be in the logs, Musk and Gates might be in the emails, but none of this is 100% proof of what we all know they did. They made sure to release just enough to satisfy but not convict. The story shouldn't end with just who went to the island. It should end with who helped build the system Jeffrey operated in, and why the government is still protecting them 30 years later. What do you think about all of this? Are you at all surprised to see names like Jay-Z and Pusha T in the files? Or were you expecting this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I will be reading each one. If you like real content that isn't afraid to expose the truth, make sure to like this video and subscribe. We are less than 23,000 subscribers away from reaching 400K. With your help, we can get there faster. Well, that's it for this video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.